We're back. Welcome to Discipline to Win, episode 28. It's the day before Christmas Eve here, and Nick and I want to share a topic that has come up with us a ton the past couple months in business, and honestly the past few years with all of you. And whether it's your individual career in business or you're trying to motivate a team in business, fighting the complacency around the holiday time at the end of the year is a big challenge in business, because when you're operating the business, it is your job to close it out right, finish it, get to the finish line of whatever your objective was for the year, and not let complacency creep in. So Nick, this is the third year here with us that you've been a part of, the end of the year grind, getting everything to completion. From your perspective, how have things been different this year compared to other years at the end of the year?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is we have the team now.
Largest team we've ever had.
Yeah, so when obviously we got together, it was me, you, and 4 others. And now, including us, we have about 50. So there is strength in numbers to where we've always pushed through the holidays, because after Thanksgiving, everybody checks out. Like, really in all industries, I feel like a lot of people, they save up their PTO, they use it all at the end of the year, or business owners are like, okay, this is my time where I'm going to take vacation, or I'm going to kind of just like let my foot off the gas. There's not really that much business going on. But what we've done is completely opposite. So we usually have always an initiative that we're working on. We have one that we're working on right now through the end of the year that's very time sensitive, that we need to complete by the end of the year. And just everybody full steam ahead as if it's any other month, as if you're mid-quarter, as if it's the middle of June, let's say. Like, it doesn't change where we are, because we have fostered a culture where it doesn't matter what time of year it is, it doesn't matter what day it is, it doesn't matter what's going on. We have clear-cut objectives, and we have now a large amount of people who are all able to work towards those objectives. So literally just in the last 30 days, we have gained so much ground on our competition with things that we're going to be laying out in 2025, different things internally that we've developed. We've been able to, I think, almost a record month of new business when a lot of other guys aren't even taking meetings. We've brought in record amount of business this month. So a lot of different things that we've been working on. But the key to it is not allowing yourself, when the holiday time comes around and when everyone else is like, oh, I'm going to use my PTO, or I'm going to let my foot off the gas, not falling into that trap. And I guess a question that I would ask you is, outside of our business, how could somebody who maybe is a new business owner, isn't quite yet a business owner, how can they take advantage of these 30 to 40 days that you have, that I consider it's free time? It's like time 100%. Where you can gain ground.
I think it's actually easier to take advantage of if you're not a business owner, because you're going to stick out way more. So I would say that if you are still at your job and you see half of the office using up the rest of their PTO time at the end of the year, or just messing around all day, a lot more, there's cookie trays everywhere, there's holiday music playing, it's very easy to blend in and just take the foot off. But if you turn it up a notch and you start showing up to work earlier, staying later, trying to bring in more business, close more deals, you are going to set yourself so far apart from every single other person in whatever team or organization that you work on, that is a cheat code to any big initiative that's happening in your organization in 25. Your leadership is going to be like, this person's locked in. Like, I can count on them for whatever's coming up. And you are finishing your year out as strong as possible. Plus, you already know that most people, 97% of people, wait until January 1st to, I'm going to get my diet back on track. I'll get back in the gym, something like that, to the first of the year, where if you're already way ahead of the game and you're pushing for all those things before the first, again, you're just that much far ahead everybody else. So you will set yourself way far and apart. What I would say is a even bigger challenge that I have found is, obviously everything starts at the top. So I can say that pushing yourself to accomplish all of your own objectives and really your organization's objectives when there is nobody telling you, hey, you got to do this. Hey, we got to get this done. To where, if you just take a look at you and I's last 7 days, We've been in multiple states.
Mm-hmm.
We've closed on, $1 million in real estate. We've closed multiple deals.
Mm-hmm.
We're ensuring the company, it hits our revenue for the year.
Mm-hmm.
We're entertaining probably like 3 different days in the past
Yeah.
week. We're spending time we're still getting time in with family.
Yeah.
Across all of those different things. Like I've spent multiple family days in the past, 7 days as well, to where, I could say that we are for sure maximizing our last month of the year and last month of the quarter, to where there's like no reason, and we're still getting our workouts in every day and everything else. Like there's no reason that, you can't close out the year as strong as possible. And there's literally still time to do that and really write the last chapter of whatever your story in 2024 is going to look like. So, a big part of, I think, your job as a leader is reflecting back on the year and, really reminding your team, what were you setting out to do at the beginning of the year? And, are you where you thought you were going to be? Are you in a totally different area? Did you have to shift? Why did you shift? So, looking back at the start of 24, Nick, compared to what our team looks like, where we're at, all those things, is it where you thought it was going to be? Is it different? Are you surprised? Are you not surprised?
Definitely not. I'm not surprised, because even though it's only been, let's say, 3 years that we've been doing this together, we're aware enough that we know, like, wherever the year starts and where we think it's going to go, we know it's not going to go there. Because, new different things are going to come up. And I think that's why we have been able to do well very quickly, because we're adaptable. And we've talked about it all the time. But, your ability to adapt and execute at a high level is the most important thing for your, navigating different, whether it be different markets, different opportunities, knowing when to say no, knowing when to say yes. That's another huge thing. We've said no to a lot of different things this year. There were a lot of different avenues that we were going to go that we ended up not going in, because we were like, long-term, this isn't going to be profitable for our business model. Or long-term, if we allocate resources to this initiative, it's going to be way better off for the longevity of our company, rather than maybe some quick dollars here and there that we could possibly get in this year. So I think our ability to, at this point, recognize opportunity, know when to say no, know when to say yes, and then go all in on it has been what has led us to this point. And we started this year with one initiative that we're really hell-bent on, and then we kind of strayed from it and explored some other things, and then we came back to a similar idea, but it was a refined idea of what we started with. So
and we gathered so much more information.
Definitely. We knew what we wanted to do, and then we set out, and then we were like, you know what? We didn't think of this. We have a problem here, gap here. Then we go and for months do our research, explore other things, and then we came back to where we were, and we were like, okay, now we have a refined process. Now we have something that's going to work. And then now, boom, we already started by implementing it. We closed a couple deals by the end of this year, and next year it's going to be full steam ahead, because now we know it works. We filled the gaps that don't work. So that's another thing too, is don't think that if you start something and it may not work when you first roll it out, don't think that, oh, you know what, this is just, it's chalked. I can't do this. Yeah, you can put your, and we hate saying this because we hate saying put your foot on the brake a little bit, but it's not even putting your foot on the brake. It's literally taking a little bit of a detour to where you were on the path to. Yeah, and you have to recognize okay, I had gaps to fill. We sat around originally.
Whatever negative feedback you get, you got to listen.
Yeah, we had these thoughts originally of this is what it's going to look like. We know it's going to be this. It's going to be so unique. And then we got to the point where we're like, you know what? It's not going to work. There's a reason that maybe some other people in the marketplace haven't done this. But we were able to recognize that. And we at least we didn't have the ego to be like, oh no, we're just going to keep pushing through. No, we took the detour, we explored, we did our research, we came back, and now we have a super, super refined business model and a super refined acquisition plan moving forward that's going to make us lethal in 2025. And I think our ability to do that at a high level has allowed us to do that. And I would say to other people out there, whatever that business plan was for you at the beginning of the year, let's say it didn't work out and you gave up on it, I would encourage you to go back to the beginning, look at what went wrong, and then go out and source information from people who are doing a similar thing to you in the space, because that's exactly what we did, and then come back to your idea and be like, okay, now that I have this information in place, can I make this work? Is this a business model that's going to work for me moving forward? Because that's another thing too, is you can't just these things are going to take time, and that's what we're learning too. Like scaling takes time, growing takes time. Now, from a third party perspective, we've gone from 300K of revenue to over into the 8 figures now in 3 years, which is what people would call quick, but for us, it's felt a lot longer than 3 years, and it has been a lot longer journey than that.
Even though like our journey together literally is about 3 years old. Like I always laugh so much looking at photos of us a year ago because I swear to God, you've aged 15.
Yeah,
you've aged like 15 years in the best way possible. Of like you like just like matured extremely fast. I was forced to mature extremely fast. We were talking about this morning of just going out there against the world. Just you grew up really quick, and the things that you care about and the problems that you face are so different than any of our peers, and you can't even compare it. I'll say that something that, I am kind of glad that we're at today that, might not have thought we would be at the beginning of the year was at the beginning of the year, our biggest problem was an individual. And, at the end of the year, not a problem anymore. And there's actually no person at all that at this point, in any of our businesses where we're like, man, like this is a freaking problem. We got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Like I've never, I think, had a clearer mind at the end of a business year than I do right now, to where I'm really convinced that, and obviously 25 is going to show up and punch me square in the jaw, but I really feel very clear about our strategy, about, how we'll move forward, and taking all the lessons learned, because there's been a ton this year into next year with like the proper information to operate at the highest level. So I feel really strong about basically learning our lessons this year, being able to pivot and adapt as much as we have to put us in a really good spot here at the end of the year. Another thing I'll add, really, you obviously extremely quickly adapted to embodying the urgency that forces us to operate the way we do at the end of the year. Through your perspective, with all of our people now, we're about a week out from the end of the year. Were you surprised with how much we had to push this year? Were you not surprised? Because there's obviously a lot of new folks on the team. What's your perspective there?
So I think the first 6 months of the year, we were really, really in the weeds pushing people hard, like really pushing people hard. Again, with a new organization, you don't have developed leaders yet. You don't have people that have been entrenched in the culture yet. It's all new. So like we had a couple of key players that had been with the organization for longer, so they knew how to move. But when you go from, at the beginning of this year, I believe we were 15, and then you go to 50. So you have 35 new faces that have not been, they're coming from either corporate backgrounds, they're coming out of school. They're not used to the pace. So through the first 6 months, I think getting people up to the pace was like a really hard challenge for us. But I think you would agree now, it's like we have initiative, we give it to our key leaders. There's no question about the pace. Like we don't have to tell them like this needs done by this. Like they know that anything that needs to happen, it's getting done.
At this point, I think we have built the weapon. Sometimes we just need to point it in the right direction. I think to where like at this point, it's like, the pit bulls are extremely hungry. They're always eating something, but we just need to make sure it's the right thing, I think. And that's our job, is to, really your job as a leader is really to fine tune that shot group of like wherever your people are firing at and make sure it's the right target for the right time. Because sometimes people, and it's good to look forward, but sometimes people are like, I could say probably with our team, pretty focused on 25, to where they kind of lost sight of, really the biggest objective, which is the one that's 10 meters in front of us that we had to close out strong at the end of the year. So
one other point too, that I think I just like remembered this, that people can't be afraid to do. Like if you're in a scaling business, and let's say it's 3, 4, or 5 years, you're in the scaling business and you've been fortunate enough to bring on additional leaders, and you've been fortunate enough to develop different departments within your business that are now taking care of things for you. Do not think that it is a bad thing to maybe sometimes have to hop back into the weeds. Do not think that it's a bad thing that like you're like, you know what, this isn't going as well as I thought it would be, because it happened to us. We had an entire department that it just didn't work out. We had to hop right back into the weeds. That's not a failure by any means. That's, again, you taking the detour, you like figuring things out of how it's supposed to be done. We then restructure it, put it in place, and now it's been full steam ahead. So like I think a big theme of this episode is do not be afraid to take 2 steps back to take eventually 5 forward. Like, yes, it may take a couple of months. It may be uncomfortable when you may think like, wow, why did I hire this person? Or like, wow, I'm really having trouble like letting go of some of these things that we're doing. But like a lot of times it is trial and error, especially if you did not do it before. When you start from zero, which a lot of people listening started from zero, you don't have the blueprint in front of you. No. And like, there's not like, you could read all these great books, and there are a ton of great books on like leadership and developing business and systems and processes. But like, if you have not done it before in your industry, there's no book to read of like what you need to do. So you need to try things, fail, learn what went wrong, and then rework it, put it back into place. And then that process might go a couple of times before it's like, okay, boom, full steam ahead and keep moving forward. So I would say, to your vision, like, did you expect that this year, because we scaled so quickly, for us to, like, for everything obviously not to work perfectly, but like for us to take those couple of steps back that we've had to in order to get to the spot that we are today?
It was definitely necessary, but I would say like it definitely wasn't expected. You know, like I would say every optimist or leader probably to get to where we are at, or where anyone even more successful than us is at, you have to always believe in your decisions that they're always going to work out. So I know that, speaking for myself, you know, whenever we hire somebody, in my mind, they're a lock. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be the best fit here because, you know, I believe in them. So like, they must succeed, because every initiative we have, you have to will it to win. And we've done that so many times, just sheer belief. And eventually you end up finding a way. So I think the same way with our strategies and with our people, there's never a doubt in my mind that it won't work. In my mind, it's always for sure it's going to work. And, you know, really to segue that into something that I was going to touch on, the hardest place to, I think, as a leader or any type of operator in an organization, the hardest place to accept failure is honestly with people. To where when you know that someone's not right for your organization, and know that they're not right for the team they're on, or just not right for your culture in general, having to let them go as the leader that believed in them is a form of failure. To where
it is,
you know, you made a call that they were going to work here and they didn't. So that's always tough for me to see, because you always have this plan of how people are going to develop. And you know me, I usually talk with people in their first month, like, okay, here's how I'm sort of painting this picture you're going to develop in our organization. And I think that's a leader's job, is to like have the vision that people don't have for themselves and try to help shape it. But we made some tough calls at the end of this year to, you know, let some key folks go that we just know in our gut are not meant for this organization. And it always, like, we never take it lightly, because it sends shockwaves through your team whenever you let some folks go. And it's, you know, Monday morning quarterbacking from anybody else. They don't see what we see, so they're never going to have all the information that we have. But having all of the information that we have, I think it is your responsibility as a leader to not take people that you know aren't right into the next year. I think you got to leave them. I think you got to leave them behind. Like, I know rolling into 25, our whole team's rock solid. There's nobody on our team that I don't want on our team, or that you don't want on our team. Like, every single person on our team, we're rolling with them in 25. Like, we know they're strong, we know they're bought in, and we know that they can handle anything thrown at them. You know, I wouldn't have been able to say that a month ago. So I can say that we had to make some tough calls at the end of this year from a standpoint of just figuring out who are the right pieces in our organization. And it's never easy thing to do, but I would say it's your responsibility as a leader to make those tough calls, and to not, you know, just for the sake of, oh, it's the holidays, or, oh, it's this, like, it's not fair to the people, and it's not fair to, you know, your organization, the people that are rock solid and killing it every day.
That's what I was going to say, is it's a disservice to the people who are giving 110% and who are executing at the level that you'd want them to execute on, to leave somebody in the organization who is not an 8 or above. Like a great Steven Schwarzman quote, what he always talks about, who runs Blackstone, is, you will find 10s in our organization, 9s and 8s. You won't find anybody below 8, because all of those other 3 people, they can play a role. An 8 can play a role, a 9 can play a role. Obviously, 100%. A 10 is a goal.
100%.
But you will never see anyone who's below that 8, because it's literally a disservice to have a 5 to the 8s, 9s, and 10s that are performing at the 8, 9, and 10 level. It's a disservice to those people to have that in, because again, it all goes back to standard. It all goes back to culture.
Yep.
It's not going to allow you long term to create a rock solid team or rock solid culture that's going to take you moving forward. So I completely agree with your point. Obviously, it sucks, but if you want to be in a position where like you want to be successful, you want to create wealth for other people, you want to create an organization that helps thousands, if not millions of people one day, you are the one who has to make the tough call of like, I'm going to leave these people behind. And yes, it sucks. Yes, it's around the holidays, but I know for my other 50 that this is a better move going forward.
And I can honestly say that we've been in this now for a week out from our 5-year anniversary. There is nobody we've left behind that I've ever regretted.
Yeah.
Not a singular one.
Yeah.
Not a single one. Because there's nobody we've ever left behind that was, I could say 100% was bought in our mission and purpose, was positive, and wanted to grow any way they could.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've never let one of those people, even if someone could check one of those 3 boxes, we'll like find something for them to do. But like literally, we've never let somebody that checked all those boxes behind, because those are the 8s and above. I believe that if you're positive, you want to influence change, and you're bought in on our mission and purpose, and you want to grow, you're going to make sure you're going to be at an 8 and above in some category and be able to do something. Like we would never let someone like that walk out the door.
Yeah.
So I could say that, I've never once regretted any decision we've made as far as personnel, because our culture since day one has been the one thing that we said that nobody is bigger than our culture. And I got to give our team a ton of credit that if someone's not fitting it, we hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's never been like a surprise that like, someone doesn't fit. Like literally most of the time before we even realize it, we're hearing from, multiple different directions from our team that, hey, this person's just, they're not going to make it. They're not a good fit, or they're disruptive to the team. So like you said, like we're doing all of our people a disservice if we let anybody like that hang around.
Totally.
So I can say that, we've definitely, I think, been a chameleon this year and figured out how to adapt through a crazy environment in our industry. And we've hate to say it, but we've like gone through the necessary steps and problem sets and people to get us where we're at today, which is fully aligned for 2025. And really, I would say just very clear-minded, very clear vision on how we're going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And, really that's going to be part 2 to this, is laying out really our tips, do's, don'ts for how to get your team collected and ready to really together destroy 2025. Anything you want to add to 24?
Yeah, I just want to touch on one last thing. And we spoke a lot about, if you are a leader, you already have a business. We talked a lot about that. But I want to talk to the people who maybe you're looking to make that jump into entrepreneurship, or you're looking to start some type of side venture. There's no better time to do it than this last 30 days of the year. Because let's just say you were working a corporate job, you saved up your PTO days, and you took your 2 weeks of PTO around the holidays. You literally have 2 weeks to you don't have to figure out how to conquer the world, but you can at least figure out how to get started. So
and don't play video games.
Yeah, like even
stay off the
Call of Duty, whatever. Like if you want that life, if you want to make that jump, and again, we're speaking to those people who do. There's no one who's telling you you should be this person, you should be that person. But if you're sitting there right now and you're like, you know what, I'm tired of this corporate job, I want to make a jump, I have this idea, and you took your 2 weeks PTO, use that to your fullest capability while everyone else is going out, while everyone else is being lazy, while everyone else is playing video games. Do your research, study, learn about what your marketplace is, get started, open the LLC, open the bank account, do things that are going to force you to go ahead and make that move. And even if it's not okay, I'm just going to I figured this out, I'm going to quit my job, figure out something that you could do on the side. Figure out the 2 to 3 hours that you can put in after work or after spending time with family that you're going to start taking some steps. And we're going to talk about this in the next part 2 episode about you don't have to conquer the world in 2 weeks. You don't have to conquer the world in 1 year even. Right. So
I'll add real quick too that from a opportunistic standpoint, if you're going to use this time at the end of the year, right now we are in the 2 worst weeks of the year from a ability to reach out to any vendor or service company and get anything done, this is the worst 2 weeks of the year. Everyone's out of office. Everyone is reduced hours. Everyone is closed. Everyone is taking, like, literally everybody takes a knee and shuts down and does nothing. To where if your side hustle was going to be literally any problem that needs solved, there's no lack of people right now that are looking to get stuff. Actually, people that want stuff done now will pay a premium, because they've got family coming in from out of state, and like they're willing to pay anything to get this done right. To where I would say, if you're going to be opportunistic, go on social media and hang your virtual shingle out there right now, because I guarantee you go to any community group on Facebook, someone is saying, help, need a plumber ASAP. I'm calling everybody. Nobody will come right now. Help, need a painter. My 4-year-old just threw a football through the wall. I need to get it patched before, the family comes over in 3 days. Like, look to see what the highest, most in-demand thing is. And if you can do that, be like, absolutely, I'll be there right now.
Yeah.
Like, you could go. And people are so desperate, they're probably not going to be like, oh, what are your certifications? They're going to be like, great, thanks. Like, I'll pay you whatever you want. And you could figure out what the market is and the demand is for any problem that you're looking to solve to create your own side hustle. Like, now is the time where people will pay anything. And they're not willing to wait until January 22nd when the established, HVAC or plumbing company says that they can get to it. Look at us. We just were in demand for a contractor.
Yeah.
Nobody had the time, and we went with the company that said, like, yep, I can start Monday.
Yeah.
That's like priceless.
Yeah. I think, like, whole theme of this is, obviously, it's a great window to take advantage of opportunity. It's a great window to get on your feet and do something new if that's what you want to strive for. If you want to leave the corporate job, if you want to start entrepreneurship, if you want to start a side hustle, these last 2 weeks of the year are crucial in doing that. And it's the only free time that you get, because once the year starts, it starts, and it's going to be full steam ahead, and no one's going to let their foot off the gas until we get to this point again. Right. So you got a little bit of a window to play catch up, and you got a little bit of a window to get a head start on people for this next year. So if that's something that you want, don't waste it. Take advantage of it. I'm telling you, it's the best possible time where you can truly get ahead and put your best foot forward for the next year. And we'll get into a little bit of what you should do in 25, but that's all that I have for today. And the last thing I do want to touch on is appreciate all of the people who have subscribed over the last 2 weeks.
It's been awesome. Yeah.
It's been incredible. We've gone from 1,000 people to 40,000 subscribers. Want to thank Jordan Drury, Austin Barber, Lucy, all of our media team who's been phenomenal as well in helping with that. But thank you to all you out there who have been listening, and we're excited for 2025. We're going to be pumping out a ton of great content. So
100%. If you liked 24, 25 is going to be awesome. We're working extremely hard to get, a ton of new guests, people from all industries that have been successful in their space. And we're trying to bring you the best content for you to honestly just grow and be prosperous and improve your life in every single way you can. But I echo Nick's statements. Thank you to Jordan, Austin, everybody. You guys are freaking awesome. And Nick and I are committed to being here along with you and your ride, for as long as it takes. So any ideas, questions, comments, you want to run an idea by us on what your side hustle or business is, message us, shoot us, leave us a comment, post on anything, and we'll interact with you and give you, our non-biased, no BS idea of, how we think you should do it or not. So just go out there, take the risk, take some action, and finish 2024 out extremely strong, and prepare yourself for 2025. And tune in for part 2, where we're going to tell you how to pass by everybody in your industry, anybody at work in the office you're trying to beat out next year. Tune in for part 2. Until then, stay disciplined.